So one of the easy jobs you can do at home is the wishbones and the bushes. Now you find on a lot of cars, especially when they're getting on a bit, especially city cars that have been bounced around, potholes, bounced off curbs, is you find that bushes degrade. Now they're only rubber, so over time what they do is they perish, and then what that does is knock out your suspension geometry a bit, can cause uneven tyre wear, and you'll find on a Focus in particular, if you find a knock on the front when you turn in, a lot of times it's down to these bottom arms, the bushes, or the little ball joints on the end. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to change this whole unit here, and we're going to do the back as well, because when we got the car there's quite a lot of uneven tyre wear on the back. In fact, one of the rear tyres was down to the belts. So what this will do is it will renew the bushes, stiffen up the car, and we should be ready to roll. Right, so we've got the new arms in. Now what you'll notice with these ones is there's a lot of aftermarket arms that slip into the mount as you put them on. These actually come with a new mount as well, so you're not only replacing this bush, you're replacing this bush as well, so that's good. The other thing you can do, of course, is change the ball joint separately. Now these are available if you just want to change that bit, but it doesn't require a bit of cutting and drilling. So it's far easier just to replace a whole arm. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take that one off, whack this one back on. It doesn't take a massive amount of specialist tools to do this job. You will need a T55 socket, because that's how you get the ball joint out, and mostly everything else is at 18mm sockets. It does, however, help if you've got a pretty powerful impact gun or an air impact gun. Right, so obviously you need the car up off the floor. We've got a ramp, you probably haven't. So, but it's just as easy to do it on a jack. Now the first thing we're going to do is take this arm off, and it's easier to start on the inside because the ball joints can be a bit tricky if you don't take the inside off first. So what we're going to do is spray it up with penetrating oil, whip out the 3 bolts here, prise it out, and then take the ball joint off last. Right, for these mounting bolts you need a 21mm spanner at the back to fit under the top, if you can find it. And then what we do is spin it out from the bottom with your impact gun. So with the main 3 bolts out, we've taken the ball joint bolt out. So now we just take the ball joint down, and then hopefully the whole lot should pop out and we can put the new one in. Right, so that's the old arm out. Bit of messing about, bit of prying, bit of crying, but we can see that the ball joint should be stiff, so that's probably where our knock's coming from. And the bushes are kind of perished, they're not great. Looks like it's seen better days. So the easiest way to get the access to slip in this bottom arm is to move all this up out of the way. Now if you're on the floor, you just use your jack. Here we're going to use a transmission stand, but the main idea is to push all this up just so we can get in at a nice level angle. Now it's just a case of fiddling around to get the bolts back in. Right, with the main bolts back in place, finally, bit of fiddling around to get it done. Pop the ball joint back in, bolt in, we should be ready to tighten it all up. Now the last bit to do is jack up this arm so it's round about level. It's quite important because what this will do is when you tighten the bolts, it will prevent putting excess strain on the bushes when you drop the car back down on the wheels. So ideally, you want the car to be sitting as it would on the road before you tighten everything up. So we're going to do that now. And of course, because we are doing everything properly, we're going to tighten it up to the correct specs. So the front pinch bolt is 53 Newton meters. The big bushing bolt on the front is 150. Lovely. So now we're going to move on to the rear arms. Now ours are quite perished in the bushes. It's quite a common fault on a Focus, but the good news is they're really easy to change. Two 15mm bolts, prise them out and you're done. But first we're going to give them a good spray and then we get going. So the first thing we're doing here is just jacking it up a bit. You can do this on the floor on a normal jack, but the idea is to get this more or less level where the wheel would sit when the car's rolling. And then we'll take these bolts off and it should make it a lot easier to get out. We're going to start on the inside. Big bar, should be able to get it out fine. Now we can just prise this one out and get on with the other one. Right, so on the driver's side, now we've got it loose, we're getting a little bit close to the petrol tank, so we might not be able to get the socket out, so we're just going to switch to a 15mm spanner and carry on. And good news here, of course, is on both sides, they're captive nuts on the back. So you don't have to have a spanner on the back to stop it spinning, it'll just come straight out. Now we can put the new one back in. As you can see, the old one's pretty perished, the rubber's gone, there's quite a lot of play in it. So that'll be cured with this new one. We're just going to pop it in. Right, so now we've nipped them up tight, what we're going to do is torque them to the proper settings. The car's already in position, so it's supported, so it should be 115 Newton meters or 85 foot-pounds of torque. Now we just let that down, get the wheels on, it's job done. Right, so that's our front wishbones done and our rear tyre rods. Now hopefully that's going to cure some of the knocks we've had in the cars, if not all of them. Now when you're messing with the chassis of a car, with the suspension or anything like this, it's important to have your wheel alignment checked afterwards. Now we're going to take ours down to be done. I'd do that, personally I'd make that a part of your MOT every year. It's a common thing on Focuses, especially a little city car like this. They're bounced off curbs, they hit potholes all the time. In fact, when we got this car, the inside rears of the tyres were just worn away, more or less to the belts. So what we've gone and done is got ourselves a new set of Davanti tyres. We're going to put them on and take it away to have the wheels aligned. Job done.